Contemporary India on Education, தற்கால இந்தியாவும் கல்வியும், course objectives. At the end of the course, the student teachers will be able to develop an understanding of the nature of social diversity and the educational demands of the diverse communities. Explain the salient features of Indian constitutional values of education. Analyze the causes for inequality, discrimination, and marginalization in education. Develop an understanding of the educational policies and programs during the pre independent and post independent periods. Examine the issues of language policy in education. Develop an understanding on the emerging trends in education. Unit 1, Understanding the social diversity. Social diversity, meaning and definition. Levels of social diversity: individual, regional, linguistic, religious, caste, and tribes. Education for understanding the social diversity in India. Adjusted instruction objectives, approaches, methods. Educational demands of the individuals and diverse communities. Universalization of primary education. Programs to achieve universalization of education, SSA, RMSA, RUSA, integrated education and inclusive education. Challenges in achieving universalization of education, education for collective living and peaceful living, four pillars of education as viewed by Delos Commission report. Suggested instructional approaches or methods. Students' seminar on the efforts taken by the Government of India and Tamil Nadu to achieve universalization of education. Group discussion, student seminar, adjusting the curriculum for collective and peaceful living of people. Indian constitutional values on education. Preamble of the Constitution, fundamental rights and duties of citizens, directive principles of state policy and education, challenges to fulfill the constitutional obligations, freedom, justice, equality, fraternity, and education, Right to Education Act. Unit 4, Inequality, Discrimination, and Inequality, Discrimination, and Marginalization in Education. சமத்துவமின்மை, வேறுபாடுகள், விளிம்பு நிலை, கல்வியில் விளிம்பு நிலை. Social inequity in society, causes for inequality, discrimination, and marginalization in children. Education, types of inequality, caste, class, gender, religions. Elimination of social inequities through education. Education for marginalized groups, Dalits, tribals, and women. Suggested instructional approaches. Policy frameworks on education, pre-independent India. சுதந்திரத்துக்கு முன்னால் இந்தியாவில் என்னென்ன கொள்கைகள் வச்சுருந்தாங்க. Salient features of Vedic, Buddhist and Jain system of education, development of education during the pre-independent period, characteristics of basic education and its relevance for present-day context. Suggested instructional approaches and methods. Report presentation based on the group discussion, student seminar about the relevance of basic education to the present-day context. Report presentation based on the group discussion or student seminar on the impact of pre-independent period education on Indian society. Unit 6. Unit 6. Policy frameworks on education, post-independent India, major recommendations of Kothari Commission, issued by Patel Committee, Malcolm Adisesha Committee, New Education Policy, Program of Action, Sachar Committee, Silent Features of National Curriculum Framework, National Knowledge Commission 2005. Unit 7, Educational Planning and Financing, 5-year plans, educational policy making and budgeting, funding systems of education, public fees, students' loans, education sales and external aids. Language policy in education. During the pre-independent and post-independent India, views of great thinkers like Tagore, Gandhi and Vivekananda. Midday meal scheme as a socialization process. Emerging trends in education. Impact of globalization, liberalization, and privatization on education, lifelong learning, and online education. Course for language across the curriculum. At the end of the course, the student teacher will be able to understand the language background of the learner, know language diversity in the classroom, understand the nature of communication process in the classroom, understand the nature of reading comprehension in different content areas, develop multilingual awareness about the learners. Language and society. Language meaning, concept and functions, understanding of home language and school language, understanding the language background of the learner, developing oral and written language in the classroom, language and culture, language diversity in classroom, relation between language mastery and subject mastery. Course 5, understanding disciplines and subjects.